Hi, I'm Shantae. Speculative evolution is a really fun genre, of which I am definitely not the only creator. In fact, you could make your own speculative evolution project. In this video, I'll talk about my process of that stuff and how you could make your own. I'll show examples with my stuff, but keep in mind I'm not the only person who does this. Speculative evolution sounds complicated, but it's basically just making cool critters for some alternate planet or universe, or whatever story you want to make up for it. The best ones put lots of thought into how the cool critters evolved, but in my opinion, it's not entirely necessary. It's something I do for all of mine, though sometimes design comes before evolution. That goes especially for the ones I designed as a kid and tried to get to work for my world. I was raised Christian, so I don't think I even knew what evolution was at the time. Seed worlds are a really fun way of doing it, and personally my favorite. They use animals from Earth and expand on them through extended amounts of time, plus some other factor like a limited pool of animals, so there's lots of niches to fill. My little twist on this idea is that Earth is a seed world for Origin, and some mysterious figure just added organisms as they evolved on Origin, almost like updates or balance patches from a dev. All life in the Milky Way is sort of a seed world, but it starts before the Cambrian and didn't get updates like Earth, so I can have a bit more freedom with those. Design first, explanation later is probably not the best way to go about this though. I'll share my most egregious example of it in my world, which is capital H humanoids. There's a whole magical element system, but that's not important right now. The issue is that when I made this universe in 2019, I included humans from Earth and humans from Origin. Why did I do this? Well, I'll have to tell you a bit about myself to explain that, but I don't mind. Like I said, I was raised Christian, and in 2019 I definitely did not believe evolution was a real thing. I know, so many changes in 5 years. My explanation at the time was that God, or the Allfather, created both in their image in an attempt to find an heir. A few years later, I'm now an atheistic evolution believer, I know I'm going to hell, and I want to keep this idea of a powerful figure who needs to find an heir, but I want to lessen their power as a deity. Are they even real? If they are, do they have as much power as everyone says they do? They had to wait billions of years for their heir to evolve, so they figured they should try on at least a few planets. While watching over these seed worlds they created, they paid special attention to the planet they came from, Origin, and they kept the species they liked from there in an extra planet called Earth, just in case some catastrophe befell Origin again. There's a bit more to that story, but I figure I should tell you more about how to make your own and less about my own. What you should have learned there is that design before explanation leads to plot holes that you have to fill up with complicated lore. I have fun doing that, but if you don't, it might be best to think about how the evolutionary pressures and how they would affect your organism before you design the organism. There's not always one right answer, so have fun with it. Another thing is that I obviously draw stuff for my speculative evolution project. If you can't draw but are interested in doing this, there's a few ways you could go about it. The first is to learn how to draw. That's the one I picked. I hadn't learned about evolution yet, but when I was around 14, I wanted to make stories, and I wanted to draw them, so I started drawing. I was really bad at it, but I kept going, and now I'm slightly less bad. It's all about the time you put into it, not so much about natural skill or talent. I'm not even sure natural skill or talent even exists. Some people learn faster, but everyone can learn to draw. Even Lena. If you're not interested in that, there's 2 other ways to go about it. You could just not have art for your world. My girlfriend didn't for the longest time, and I thought it was genuinely amazing. Just tons and tons of writing. If you're interested in that, it's totally a viable option. The only issue I can think of is that it might be harder to share. It takes a bit more effort to read pages than it does to look at pictures, and no one likes effort. The last option is to get someone else to do it for you. This one's hard, but if you have a friend who's really interested in your world, they might be happy to draw stuff for you. Other than that, you'd have to pay. If you've got cash to spare and you like supporting artists, it's a great idea. I feel like I have to mention AI here, and aside from moral concerns, it's also just not good at this stuff. It can barely draw real animals with much accuracy, so I wouldn't trust it for something like this. I'd be more interested in seeing Stickman-style drawings from the world of someone who doesn't know how to draw, than I'd be in seeing an AI's cobbled-up attempt at showing you what you asked it to. How'd that weird, mashed-up, tail-legged looking thing evolve? Lastly, I thought I'd share some ideas to start with. This is stuff that I've thought of, and as far as I know, no one's done it yet, but I already have my project and I don't have time to do a new one. My Tumblr is linked in my YouTube channel, and I'll try to remember to link it in the description here as well, so I'd love to see what you come up with. So whether you use one of my ideas here, or your own, I'd love to see more Spec Evo stuff. My first idea doesn't totally require art. What if there was a Pokemon Speculative Evolution project? Like if someone tried to not only explain the relations between every Pokemon, but also how they evolved and what pressures caused their divergence and all that stuff. Maybe they could even describe common ancestors. I think it would be interesting if you used not just morphological evidence, but also geologic. Like Kanto and Johto are close together, so it's more likely that Pokemon from there are more closely related than Kanto and Unova, for example. I wouldn't be surprised if this was already a thing, but when I did a quick Google search, I didn't really see anything like what I'm describing. If there is something, please recommend it to me in the comments or in Tumblr. Tumblr. Idea 2 is birds. Birds in a seed world. There was one called The Epic of Serena, which is awesome and I love that one, but I can never have enough birds in my life. I need more. Give me more birds. All birds, some birds, I don't care, just give me birds. Idea 3 is pets, also in a seed world. What if you put all domesticated animals in a seed world? What immediately dies and what evolves? Idea 4 is lows. This one's less of a seed world, I think, but a similar premise. Lock up a lows for millions of years. There are rats, mice, opossums, robins, and doves. Maybe a few other birds, depends on the lows. There's lots of plants from all the dirt they sell outside, and all the bird seed and other seeds and all the plants they have. The outside garden section would be where all the food's at, so what would happen to the rest of the vast building? I don't know, sounds interesting. My last idea is something that has definitely probably been done before. Something post-apocalyptic. But I think it would be interesting if there was emphasis on the evolution of life after whatever event. There's so many different ways that could go, I think it would be cool to see more. And that's all I got for this video. Check out my Patreon, which you can subscribe to for $1 a month, support me, and get your name at the end of my videos. Thanks Captain Kobop, Art of Dying, and Mr. Kill. Sorry my audio is worse in this video, I'm not at home now, and I didn't want to skip a week. I should hopefully be getting ahead on my videos from here on out, so this won't happen, at least not for a while. I hope to see you in my other videos, and thanks for watching!